Rainbow Six Siege is a 5v5 team-based game, but sometimes you just want to be able to beat your friends. So in today's video, I'll be giving you the 12 best operators that you can play in a 1v1 scenario, whether it be in-game or in a custom game. Starting off on attack, the first best attacker you can play in 1v1s is Ash. Not only is playing a 3-speed very nice for 1v1s, but having 5 different ways that you can breach soft surfaces, whether it be her 2 breaching rounds or her 3 breaching charges, is really nice, especially if you're playing on a map like Border or Top Floor Oregon, where people 1v1 very commonly. Ash is pretty good there. Also, having an R4C as a 3-speed is amazing. It feels so good to play, which is why most people in high level play her in 1v1s. But she doesn't really have that much utility, and you really only run her as a comfort pick because you like her weapon. The same exact thing can be said for the next operator on defense, which is Doc. Doc is pretty good in 1v1s because he has an MP5 ACOG on defense. It's really that simple. He also has a bailiff if you need to make yourself rotate or set up sight, and he has barbed wire if you want to be able to get at least some information on a staircase next to you or a door next to you. All of those things are super powerful, and then any other doorways you don't have information on, you can just barricade, and then boom, you just secured the 1v1 for yourself. Also, having 3 heals is absolutely massive, just like the low taper fade meme, because you don't have to share them with your teammates. You know that all of them are going to go to you, which allows you to essentially have 3 lives if the other person just cannot hit your head that game. For all of those reasons and many more, I think Doc is one of the best defenders in 1v1s, but I don't think he's quite as reliable as the next defender on this list, which is Goyo. A lot of times in 1v1s, I'll kind of just play around with Doc until I start actually losing, and when I want to pick an operator that I know is going to secure me a free round win when I'm really tryharding, Goyo was my #1 pick. Goyo in a 5v5 might be a balanced operator, but in a 1v1 scenario, he's a lot more powerful. Think about it. If you're in a 1v1 on defense and you have every single path to sight barricaded plus a Goyo on those barricades, you make it to where if they destroy a barricade, that is an extra 20 seconds that they have to go and waste. The only issue with playing Goyo in a 1v1 is if you get discovered by the attacker, they're just probably going to run Twitch, or if they're good, they're just going to run around and shoot all your barricades super early in the round and get rid of your Goyo fire. But a lot of the times, if you're a smart Goyo player, that doesn't really matter because you'll put your Goyo canisters on the side of barricades instead of directly on them. Goyo also has a Vector, which is the best SMG in the entire game, with an ACOG on that Vector and impact grenades to make himself rotate in the prep phase. Having a diverse loadout when you're playing a 1v1 is nice because you need the ability to make yourself rotations. You need as much utility as you can bring, and having a good gun, of course, is going to be crucial in a 1v1, and Goyo brings all of those things. There's a reason that your favorite Siege streamer plays Goyo in 1v1s. Moving it back to the attack, somebody else you should be playing in 1v1s is Dokkaebi. For one thing, the Boss G is absolutely stupid to go against, even if you're a defender. I will say it's a little bit more defender-sided on Vigil, but we'll go over him later. For now, the ability to bring the Boss G is pretty nice. She also brings the SMG-12, which is really fun to use, and she has flashes that she can use in tandem with that SMG-12 to get free kills. She also has a logic bomb, which allows you to get any information on somebody sitting in the site, roaming, going for a flank, whatever it may be, depending on the rule set you're allowing. Although I will say she does get banned a lot of the times for those reasons. The only issue with Dokkaebi in 1v1s is that when you get a kill, you can't hack cameras because obviously it's a 1v1, so when you get the kill, you're going to win the game. So she's a little bit more balanced in 1v1s than she is in 1v5s in my opinion, but still a great operator to play nonetheless if you want to hit some good clips. Now, just like Dokkaebi has the Boss G, so does our next operator, Vigil. Like I said, having a Boss G is broken, but having it on defense when all you have to do is hold an angle when you know someone is there is even more broken. Again, also having the SMG-12, we already talked about how good it is on Dokkaebi, so I'm not going to explain it any further. But like I said, for almost every other defender on this list, having impact grenades is nice because you can make yourself rotate, which is really important when you're setting up sight for your 1v1. One thing that people do in 1v1s if they're a good player on attack is they will always have drones looking onto you near sight or on sight because it's really the only way you can get the advantage on the attack. So if you hear somebody getting on their drone, you don't even have to shoot it. You can just press your visual scanner and it takes away a big advantage that attackers have. For that, plus the fact that he's a 3-speed, I definitely think Vigil is great in 1v1s if he's not banned for having a Boss G. Although, let's be real, he probably is going to get banned most of the time. Somebody who's never banned in 1v1s, though, is Ace. I won't say Ace is definitely the best attacker you can run, but he's definitely somebody that you need to whip out once every once in a while if somebody's just reinforcing every single wall on the site and you have no way to get in the building without getting a wall open. Striker can do this too, but the holes that Striker makes aren't really as big or reliable as Ace holes, and Ace brings the AK AK-12, which is a great gun. He also brings claymores if your 1v1 rules allow roaming or breaching charges to open up walls if need be, or vert too. Again, not the best pick, but a good situational pick depending on how your opponent is setting up sight or playing the game in general. Somebody else that shouldn't be your first pick, but is definitely dependent on who your opponents are playing, is the next operator on this list, which is Mute. Now, like I said, having a diverse loadout is going to make any operator great for 1v1s, especially if that loadout includes a way to make rotates, and Mute has both of these things. He has a shotgun to put feet holes on the ground, make yourself rotate, make yourself head holes, whatever it may be, or to take close range engagements if you just use your headphones instead of your aim like Jinxie. He also has a nitro cell to deny plant or at least get a little damage off onto the enemy, and if you're good with the SMG-11, that's not a shortcoming either, as that is an absolute laser of a gun once you're comfortable with it. But none of those reasons are actually the reason why I put him on this list. The simple reason of why I put him on this list is his mute jammers. Like I said with Vigil, being able to deny drones in a 1v1 is great because any good 1v1 player is going to have drones looking into sight. But also, Deimos and Dokkaebi are two of the most played attackers in 1v1s. More on Deimos later, but you get the idea. Sitting in a mute jammer can counter both of those operators easily, which is why I said I think he's pretty situationally dependent on who is banned and who the attackers are playing. If you have somebody that's just hard sticking Deimos every round, all you have to do is play mute and you'll have yourself a pretty fair time. That, and for many other reasons, makes me believe mute is a great 1v1 operator if you don't mind not having the best loadout in the entire game. Speaking of Deimos though, let's go over my 8th operator in this list, which is Deimos. Deimos's entire ability is literally just a 1v1 simulator. You scan somebody and then you're able to track them and them see you. You're essentially giving each other wall hacks, but slightly more advantageous to Deimos because he's able to get a consistent ping while you're able to get a ping once every few seconds. Deimos's loadout is also pretty diverse. If you're going against somebody with a lot of soft utility, he can bring frag grenades. If you're going against somebody who reinforces instead of having to stick yourself on ace, you can bring his hard breaching charges. He also brings the AK-74, which is also brought on Nomad, which is a pretty good gun simply for the fact that it has a lot of ammo and very easy to control recoil. A great part about him as well is his pistol, which you have to use if you use his ability. It's great for shooting people through soft walls, which is a lot harder for any defenders to do because their SMGs really can't compete with something that can go through soft walls like Deimos's pistol can. Your tracking ability also, if you enable it and then disable it the second it's enabled, gives you information, but it actually gets canceled before the enemy gets their first ping, meaning you can get info on them without them getting info on you, which is great. So for the ability to take 1v1s in your favor, the information you get, the weapons you get, the versatility you get, and the loadout you get, makes me 100% confident in my selection for Deimos in one of the top 12 best operators for 1v1 custom games. Somebody else who I am just as confident in is Buck. Again, versatile loadout, but more importantly, a way to open up soft utility or soft walls. Buck's skeleton key allows himself to make a lot of rotations, but it also allows you to make a lot of angles that defenders aren't expecting. Usually, defenders are the ones that are used to opening up the map in ways that they expect. So when you sit on a pixel peak made by 3 shotgun blasts across the map and they swing you because they think they're stomping, a lot of the times that can net you a free kill. Not to mention the C8 assault rifle is so good, one of the better assault rifles in the game, and he has flashes for taking 1v1s, which is amazing. Buck is definitely no short of one of the best attackers in the game to take 1v1s with because he feels good to play, and if you have a big brain, he is good to play. Now, most of you were probably expecting Buck to be on that list, and that's fair, but an operator that is a little bit slept on in 1v1s is Legion. Usually Legion is played if you know that the enemy is better than you and they play Ashe every round and they're kind of just running in, not droning, just, you know, all aim, no brain type of players. If you play a Legion, you can stop that playstyle a lot. Not only can you slow them down physically with a goo mine, but doing damage in 1v1s is a lot more impactful because chances are they're not playing a healing operator and you don't have teammates that can bait you for a refrag. So if you're able to slowly not only slow them down, but get their HP down as well, Legion is much more impactful. He also has the T5 SMG, which is great if you're not really good at the game because the recoil is easy to use and the gun overall is a powerhouse. So if you're losing the game against somebody you know is better, Legion is one of the best picks in the entire game. He also has a super shorty for making sight rotations and a bulletproof camera to deny drones or to get information, plus he's able to cover every entrance into sight to get even more information. Definitely a new player friendly operator or a great counter to somebody who's playing extremely fast. But if somebody somebody's playing fast on defense, who do you play to counter it on attack? In my opinion, that operator is actually Nomad. Now, most people think that Nomad is used to watch flanks, and in a 5v5 environment, that is slightly true. But I think she's actually used differently in a 1v1 scenario. First of all, she has great primary weapons. You have the AK-74 if you like having a lot of ammo, or you have the ARX if you like actually getting a fucking kill. She has flash grenades if you want to be able to take 1v1s, which I've talked about time and time again in this video, being like super powerful, because it is. And she has air jabs. You don't really use them for flanks, but you use them more for kills or denying an area while you try to take map control or get the bomb down. A great example of this is the common 1v1 strat on top floor Oregon, when a Nomad goes on big window and puts air jabs into dorms where they know people are playing to air jab them and flash them and kill them. Instead of using the air jab as area denial, they'll use it as a way to physically down somebody for a short time so that you can get a kill. I think Nomad played in an aggressive way in a 1v1 is pretty viable, which is why I put her on this list. But unfortunately, that does take a little bit of mechanical skill to be viable. Somebody you could play with the IQ of 37 though is the last operator on this list, which is Melusi. Like I said, if you want to have a good solo queue operator, not only for 5v5s, but in a 1v1 environment, having versatility is king. And there's nobody better on defense than Melusi to do that in a 1v1. First of all, you have impacts for rotations or to be able to destroy attacker utility. But if you don't want to waste those impacts on rotations, you also have a shotgun to make those rotations or any other site setup you need. That paired up in tandem with her main ability, the Banshee Sonic Defense, which allows you to shut down 4 areas as one player and give you information and slow them down if they're rushing, paired up with your shotgun, again, to be able to make them see further or you to be able to shoot people off of the information, paired up with the MP5, which I talked about on Doc being good, makes Melusi fun. Also in 1v1s, you don't really need to be a 3-speed, especially if you're a defender. All you're really doing is sitting on site, and the best way to do that is if you are a 3 armor, which Melusi also is. So if you want to play against somebody who's going fast or you want to play really safe and just have information, Melusi is the best person to go. Now before I end the video, I want to go over some honorable mentions that you might have wanted to see on this list. The first of which being Mozzie. I do think Mozzie is a great operator. I just don't think he's really up to par with a lot of the other operators on this list. Sure, you're able to deny drones, but that's really about it. Any good attacker is just going to throw their drone over your Mozzie pest and it's not going to get anything done. I will say the SMGs are pretty nice to use and frag out with, but if you're trying to frag out with an SMG, you could just play Vigil and be a 3-speed and bring better weapons and more utility. You might be saying, well, Mozzie also brings impacts just like Vigil. That's true, but a lot of the times you're going to bring the Nitro Cell and not the impacts. Let's be real. I do think Mozzie is good if Vigil is banned, sure, but I think bringing a Goyo or a Melusi or a Legion is just going to benefit you a lot more in the long run, which is why I put Melusi in an honorable mention spot. Now for the last honorable mention, I want to put Ram on this list. I do think Ram actually deserves to be on the list, and I would have actually put her on there had it be the 14 best operators for 1v1s, but I literally didn't put her in here for the simple fact that there were just not enough spots to put her in the list. I do think she deserves to be here though. I will say, if Ashe is on the board, you should be playing her over Ram in my opinion. Yes, Ashe does technically bring less utility, but having the R4C on a 3-speed is much better for a 1v1 than having it on a 1-speed. And I think really the only reason that people play Ram, even including your favorite content creators that do 1v1s on stream, is because either A, Ashe is banned, and they still want to be able to use the R4C because it's their comfort weapon, or B, they value the extra health and have a utility strat with her boogies in mind. So not to say that she's bad, but I do think there's just better operators, and I would have put her on the list had it been more operators in this video. But with that out of the way, my name's Alka, check out this next video, and I hope we'll see you there.